Morning, all. All right, so we are doing a career video to start off today, and we're going to talk about Dave Andreychuk, a player who played a very long time, as you can see, in the National Hockey League. Top 10 all time in games played, Hall of Famer. And there was a lot of debate about whether or not he belonged in the Hall of Fame before he got there, and then he finally got there. And I don't know that that debate necessarily is completely ended, but Andreychuk played a long time, did win himself a Stanley Cup eventually. He would end up tying Ray Bork, oddly enough, as the player with the longest wait for that Stanley Cup, playing 22 seasons before getting his first. Might have happened sooner, but Colorado did not hold on to the player when they had him. If they'd held on to him for another year, he wouldn't have reached that drought. But he's drafted 16th overall in 1982, and he'd play until 2006. So that's a nice long career. And it's not like Buffalo took their time with him. He came up and played that first year, 82 83. Plays 43 games, 14 goals, 23 assists, 37 points. He plays in 4 playoff games and records a single goal. 83 84, his first full season in the NHL. He lives up to his advanced billing. In 78 games, he records 38 goals, 42 assists, 80 points. And he would settle into a nice pattern here for the Buffalo Sabres. Records 1 assist in 2 playoff games the following season, 84 85, 64 games played, 31 goals, 30 assists, 61 points, and in the playoffs, 4 goals, 3 assists for 7 points in 5 games. Then you get into a bit of a downbeat for the Buffalo Sabres organization in 85 86, but not for Andreychuk himself. 80 games, 36 goals, 51 assists, 87 points. 86 87, he plays 77 games, 25 goals, 48 assists, 73 points. One thing that surprised me with his time in Buffalo, he only made an All-Star game once, considering the goals and points he was putting up. A little bit of a surprise there. 87 88, he plays 80 games, 30 goals, 48 assists, 78 points. They're back in the playoffs, and he records 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points in 6 games. 88 89, only plays 56 games that year, 28 goals, 24 assists, 52 points. So he's really settled in terms of his production as a goal scorer. 3 assists in 5 games in the 89 playoffs. 1989-90, 73 games, 40 goals, 42 assists, 82 points. And he plays in his first All-Star game. And again, the only one he played in as a Sabre. 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points in 6 games in the playoffs. And this is the storyline with the Buffalo Sabres. Good team, can get into the playoffs, can't get ahead in the playoffs. So 90-91, 80 games, a bit of a drop back for him. 36 goals, 33 assists, 69 points. Still good production. In the playoffs, he adds 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points in 6 games. Again, Buffalo really needing some kind of a playoff run here. 91-92, plays 80 games, records the most points he did during his time as a Buffalo Sabre. 41 goals, 50 assists, 91 points. 7 games played in the playoffs, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. So again, Buffalo's out early. And this is something they want to fix. So what do you do in order to fix this if you're the Sabres? Well, there's this goalie in Toronto named Grant Fir, who's got some cup rings from his time in Edmonton. So he is part of what is traded in order to get Dave Andreychuk to Toronto. Before that trade takes place in 92-93, 52 games played by Andreychuk, 29 goals, 32 assists for 61 points. February 2nd, so Groundhog Day, he is traded with a 1993 first, which becomes Kenny Johnson, along with Darren Pupa in exchange for a 1995 fifth round pick and Grant Fuhr. Pupa would play a handful of games in Toronto, ends up being taken in the expansion draft the following summer by the Tampa Bay Lightning. But yeah, Andreychuk fits in really well in Toronto. 31 games after the trade, 25 goals. So that gives him 54 on the season, which was 9th overall in the NHL, to go with 13 assists for 38 points. So he had 99 points that year, the first of 2 seasons in a row with 99 points. Sadly, Andreychuk never breaks the 100-point barrier. In the playoffs, a 21-game run, 12 goals, 7 assists, 19 points. We were so close that year to a Toronto-Montreal Stanley Cup final. The LA Kings didn't allow it to happen. So, 93-94, what does he do for an encore? Well, his first full season with the Leafs, he plays 83 games. It was an 84-game schedule. 53 goals, which was 4th overall in the NHL. 46 assists, 99 points again. In the playoffs, in 18 games, 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points. He would play in the All-Star game that year. And, of course, they get eliminated in the conference final once again, this time by the Vancouver Canucks, who were on their way to a really entertaining 7-game series against the New York Rangers. But if it had been the Leafs and the Rangers, right? Anyways, 94-95, plays 48 games, 22 goals, 16 assists, 38 points. So his points per game drops off a lot. So does his goals per game as well. In the playoffs, 3 goals, 2 assists for 5 points in 7 games. 95-96, Toronto all of a sudden is a sub-500 team. And so trades are made. 61 games for Andreychuk, 20 goals, 24 assists, 44 points. He is traded March 13th for a 1996 second-round pick and a 1999 third. Not a great return, but again, his production is down. But once he gets to New Jersey after the trade, his production goes up a bit again. In 15 games in New Jersey after the trade, 8 goals, 5 assists for 13 points. His first full season in New Jersey is 96-97. In 82 games, he records 27 goals, 34 assists, 61 points. Only appears in 1 playoff game that year. No points there. 97-98. You can see the goal scoring, the overall production has dropped, but he's starting to get some assists here. So in 75 games, he has 14 goals, 34 assists for 48 points. In the playoffs, he records a single goal in 6 games. 98-99, 52 games played with New Jersey, 15 goals, 13 assists, 28 points. And in the playoffs, he adds 2 goals in 4 games. So he hits the market. 1999, one of the best goal scorers, one of the most consistent goal scorers. He hits the market. It is July 29th that he's signed by the Boston Bruins. Now, normally, I would be excited about Boston picking up a guy of the ilk that is Dave Andreychuk. However, this is a time when Boston's just chaos. And so he's only in Boston for 63 games, records 19 goals, 14 assists, 33 points. He is traded March 6th to the Colorado Avalanche with Ray Bourque for a 2000 first-round pick, Martin Grenier, Samuel Paulson, and Brian Rolston. Rolston is a good pickup, but Bourque, of course, goes on to win a Stanley Cup in Colorado. And Andreychuk doesn't. And he doesn't really quite fit in. In 14 games after he gets to Colorado, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points heading into the playoffs. In the playoffs, he records 3 goals, 2 assists for 5 points in 17 games. And then he goes to market. Who does he sign with? He goes back to Buffalo. So July 13th, he signs as a UFA, a 1-year deal with Buffalo. He plays 74 games, and hey, he records exactly 20 goals. 20 goals, 13 assists, 33 points. In the playoffs, 13 games, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. The production, though, again, has dropped off a lot, but he's a 20-goal scorer. And this was something I remember having that debate with people about whether or not he looked slow, whether or not he lost a step. And I kept saying, but he always gets 20 goals. He's very reliable for 20 goals. So July 13th of 2001, as a free agent yet again, he signs with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Plays all 82 games that first year, 21 goals, 17 assists, 38 points. All he does is score 20 goals. 2002-2003, 72 games, records 20 goals, 14 assists, 34 points. In the playoffs, he adds 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points in 11 games. And he's a leader for this Tampa Bay team as they try to get to a championship. 03-04, in 82 games, 21 goals, 18 assists, 39 points. Very, very reliable. You can set your clock by him. And in the playoffs, he only records 1 goal in 23 games. That's the ironic part, is that he records 1 goal to go with 13 assists. So a lot of helpers in 21 games, and he finally wins his first Stanley Cup. That image of Dave Andreychuk holding up the Stanley Cup was everywhere that summer, and rightfully so. He waited a very long time, from 1982 till 2004. Went through a Buffalo team, couldn't get out of the first round, to a Toronto team that almost gets to the final twice, to a New Jersey team that was going through some stuff, and sadly, he leaves New Jersey a year before they win the Stanley Cup. Ends up in Boston, disastrous Boston, goes to Colorado, ends up leaving them a year before they get a Stanley Cup. So there's definitely a bit of, does he just have really bad luck and bad timing? But he finally gets that Stanley Cup. So coming out of 04-05, being taken out by the lockout, he tries it. He tries to play another season with Tampa. Ends up playing 42 games, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points. And on January 10th of 2006, Tampa Bay waived him. That would be the end of his career in the National Hockey League. So his totals, 1,639 games played. It's over here because I didn't have room on this side of the board. That's 10th overall in games played among NHLers, 640 goals is 15th all-time. 698 assists is 59th all-time. 1,338 points is 31st all-time. In 162 playoff games, 43 goals, 55 assists, 98 points. He had 274 power play goals in his career, which was an all-time NHL record until the dastardly Alex Ovechkin passed him this past season. And yeah, 2017 Hockey Hall of Fame induction, and his 19, count them, 19 20-goal seasons tie him with Brendan Shanahan for third on the all-time list. Again, very remarkably consistent. You were going to get 30 to 40 goals from him in his prime. Then as he got older as a veteran, you could count on about 20 goals from him every year. Pretty reliable. Definitely a good veteran leader for a Tampa Bay team that wins the Cup in 2004. And a good story. So there you go. The career of Dave Andreychuk. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.